You find yourself in a crowded room. Before you have even heard a single word, your brain has already done its job. It has classified, labeled, judged men, women, young, old, local, foreign, trustworthy, suspicious, all this in just a few milliseconds. But what if I told you that most of these labels aren't real? That they are illusions created by our mind to simplify a world that's too complex? And that these very illusions, if left unchallenged, lie at the root of conflict, discrimination, and misunderstanding. Today, we will explore the power of labels, why we need them, how they deceive us, and most importantly, what we can do to free ourselves from their weight. The human brain is a machine of efficiency. Every day it processes millions of stimuli, and to do so, it relies on cognitive shortcuts. Psychologists call them heuristics, little mental rules that allows us to make quick decisions without analyzing every detail. Labels work like sticky notes we attach to reality. They let us react quickly, recognize danger, navigate chaos. Without them, we would be paralyzed by information overload. We can't expect our brain to always start from a blank page. A stereotype, for example, doesn't arise out of malice, but as a survival mechanism. That animal might be dangerous, better run. That plant looks like a poisonous one, better avoid it. The problem is that this tool, which once kept us alive, now risk locking us into mental cages. Labels don't just interpret reality, they shape our relationships. Human beings are tribal animals. For millions of years, we survived by staying close to those who looked like us and distrusting outsiders. The instinct was simple, us versus them. Today, we live in a global interconnected world where that instinct is no longer necessary, and yet it still guides us. This is where nationalism, racism, and religious war are born. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre once said, "Hell is other people." But maybe the real hell isn't other people, it's the labels we stick on them. We believe our categories are objective, normal, right, wrong, men, women, white, black. But are they real? History shows us that definitions constantly change. In ancient Greece, slavery was considered normal. Today, it's seen as one of the worst violations of human rights. Just a few decades ago, homosexuality was classified as a mental illness in many countries. Today, it's recognized as a natural form of human identity. In some ancient cultures, family honor was more important than individual life. Today, in much of the world, the individual is at the center of morality. What appears objective is nothing more than an arbitrary standard shared by a society at a given point in history. Nietzsche summed it up, there are no facts, only interpretations. There is an even subtler problem. We don't just put labels on others, we put them on ourselves. How many of us define ourselves by our job, our nationality, our religion, our political party? Saying I'm X means identifying with that label so deeply that any criticism of it feels like a personal attack. It feels good to be unique. It feels comforting to have a definition. But here's the danger. Once we invent a label for ourselves, we demand that others accept it. And if they don't, we feel discriminated against. This is why political dialogue is so difficult. If I attack your party, you feel like I'm attacking you. Eckhart Tolle, author of The Power of Now, warned the ego lives through identification. with roles, with things, with the idea you have of yourself. But we are not those things. Freeing ourselves from identification doesn't mean losing our identity. It means realizing we are much more than the categories we use to describe ourselves. If I ask you, who are you without your job, your nationality, your beliefs? What would you say? Here's a paradox. Not only do we filter the world through our senses, but we filter it again through our mental models. Our experience of reality is third-hand. The senses capture only a tiny fraction of reality. The mind selects what it considers relevant. Schemas and labels interpret and distort what remains. The result? We don't just miss reality itself, we ignore even part of what reaches us, because labels allows us to see only what we expect. If we don't stop and reflect, we risk living in a reduced version of the world, ceasing to learn. Neuroscientist Donald Hoffman has a radical theory. What we perceive isn't reality, but a simplified interface, like the icons on a computer desktop. We don't see the world as it is, but as a set of symbols that help us survive. This means our labels aren't just untrue, they keep us away from the true richness of reality. And if we trust them too much, we will never be able to see the new. The next step is almost inevitable. If I truly believe my labels are true, then different ones must be false. And this is how conflict, discrimination, and violence arise. Wars fought in the name of political ideology, discrimination based on skin color, gender, or origin, bullying and social exclusion of those who don't fit the standard. George Orwell in 1984 wrote, "Whoever controls language controls the mind, and labels are language, tools of power that can divide or unite." And you, how many times have you judged or excluded someone without realizing you were only defending a label? So, how we can escape this trap? It's not about eliminating labels altogether. That would be impossible. It's about learning to see them for what they are, tools, not absolute truths. There is no true normal, better or worse. There is no such thing as white, black, capitalist or communist. They are just names we invent after defining our own standard. 3 practical steps. Awareness. Ask yourself, I'm reacting to the person or to the label I gave them. Detachment. Remember, you are not your job, your nationality, your faith. You are something larger. Dialogue. Instead of defending a label, ask, what does it mean to you? Often you will find that behind different categories lie similar human experiences. As the Dalai Lama said, dialogue is the only way to break down the walls created by the mind. The result of this work is surprising. When we stop hanging on to our labels, we discover that reality is richer and blurrier than we thought. Diversity is not a threat, it is an opportunity. We are not special because we belong to a group, but because each of us is unique. And paradoxically, when we stop trying to be special through labels, we begin to live more authentically. As Alan Watts wrote, the problem with man is not that he plays roles, but that he identifies with them. We are beings programmed to classify, label, simplify. That's inevitable. But we also have an extraordinary capacity, the ability to transcend our own patterns. If we choose to look beyond the labels, we can build a world that's less divided, more open, more human. So let me leave you with a question. The next time you label someone as friend, or enemy, similar or different, will you have the courage to pause and ask, am I really seeing the person or just the label I have stuck on them? Maybe true freedom begins right there, in the space between reality and the labels we used to try to imprison it. If you like the video, give it a like and share in the comments how labels have shaped your own life. Here on Luminal Thinking, we explore challenging questions in philosophy, science, and technology, not to give easy answers, but to open new perspectives. If you want to join this journey, subscribe and stay tuned for more.